champion with the Fiora left to themselves.
Yeah, that's kind of what they've gone here for. They've wanted to kind of get this path for River where he can just live isolated in a side lane. That's where he wants to go. And then the rest of their comp is about blowing up one person, able to find that quick engage and take someone out. Whereas meanwhile, Mammoth, they've got very strong disengage comp. You can see that Dajang will be the one primarily throwing out poke, and he'll have all these members there to support him, all these members there to back him up and enable him to do so. So it will come down to team fights. But on the other hand, if it goes late enough, River might be able to get some work done in these side lanes.
You certainly hope so. Opting for the Ghost rather than the Flash for the easy ability to dash around the Grand Challenge and proc all those vitals in an absolute heartbeat. I'm quite excited for this one. Always has been a case of watching the LPO and seeing the Rivers, or rather the Fioras over there, and they are just a different breed. So talented. So excited to see this one perform. And I mean, we've seen it certainly take place time and time again in the LCO. The awkwardness behind it has been, do I ever want to group up? There's certainly occasions where you can find yourself at the top of a Baron dance, for instance, and you're thinking, if I walk in, I just get collapsed upon.
Yeah, Fiora, a champion who I would be very surprised to see in any skirmishes early game, or anything for that matter, at any point in this game, as we see a little bit of a 1v1 here. We know Udi's a very strong champion with that double Phoenix head he has available to him. And it looks like Mammoth will be able to force Lisa off this red buff.
And it feels a little bit bizarre, to be frank, knowing how strong Udi's level 1 is, that the matchup here for Goodo is fantastic, that there's not more protection offered for him. They are really leaving him to the wolves, excuse the pun, right? So at least there is going to be forced all the way down into the bottom half of his jungle, pick up that blue buff, try and do a free camp clear and say, what can I salvage? Because if that goes pear-shaped, then this Jarvan is really far behind.
Jarvan, fortunately, a champion who, whilst it does suck to not be able to have those camps, he still does have the same goals in mind, right? And that is to get that level 3 as fast as possible and get down towards a lane to make an impact. He doesn't want to be farming the whole game, because if he does that against the Kindred, he will just be falling behind inevitably. And we can see River already having a very commanding lead here in the top lane, already up a fair amount of CS and the health as well. So Nectar will be paying the price for helping his jungler secure that red buff at level 1.
Has opted for the Conqueror as opposed to the Grasp. Was there a preference from your side, given that you're a top lane player?
Well, the thinking with the Conqueror there is that you're going to be in these extended fights versus the Udyr. And speaking of extended fights, Goodo's here.
Certainly
Ghosts are on.
Double Ghost being popped as they look to try and zoom into life here. Goodo waiting for that CD to try and turn around. The riposte is being held for the meantime. He wants to get underneath his tower, but then an explosion of damage coming out of nowhere, and Goodo takes him down for first blood.
You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Goodo says that thank you to Nectar for leashing him that red and comes up to pick up the first blood. River had such a strong control of those waves, but crucially didn't drop his ward, didn't try to expend that vision, so he ends up going down. And yes, Nectar's a bit down in CS, but that XP will be the important thing to keep a track of as Dajang. Spot out Emphas here, but there are members of Direwolves in the area.
Certainly are, so no ability to get even more aggressive at this early stage in the game. But it's exciting to see two mid laners, two, you'd say, fairly inexperienced mid laners get their hands on one of their best champions to showcase, okay, what can we do in that flat 1v1? Will that be their matchup to keep your eyes on? Because I know everybody's still going to be keeping a very keen eye on the top lane. But certainly not to take anything away from what these two young rookies can offer. I suppose at this stage, despite the quirkiness of that bot lane, that's probably been the quietest unless Lisa decides to show up, which he might do now. Yeah, pretty quiet affair here. I think neither side is capable of really engaging. You can see that Lissandra, if she does want to take like an E forwards, it almost certainly like condemns her to death without that ultimate being available. But here goes Lisa. Fantastic flash Grand Challenge, or Grand Entrance rather, to try and start things off as Lisa then jumps on in to make matters worse. Double flash then, burnt by the Mammoth bot lane. That certainly makes it much easier for Lisa to repeat the gank another time. Yeah, really nice play there from Lisa. Yeah, they don't get any kills, but the double flashes is huge. The wave as well. This has been a bit of a compromising spot for Mammoth's bot lane. We'll have to recheck it and see how that's going now. But the action in the 2v2, like we mentioned, isn't really something to be expected. And you can see that the wave, even in this equal position, requires so much concern from the Mammoth bot lane, because they know that if they misstep, they can always get engaged upon by Shinky on this Rakan. Fortunately for them, Lisa will be towards the top side of the map, trying to keep up with Goodo on this Kindred.
Yes, it doesn't want to allow him to do as he pleases, right? Sure, you can reveal yourself with the gank, and if it doesn't work, you get the summoners. It just gives so much free movement for Gudo to do as he pleases. Already up by 10, able to then look at those void grubs and snag one, but then be forced to back away to his own Gromp to say, well, there's no point greeting much more than that. Obviously, you can see Nectar here currently getting shoved under his tower once again, as River is relentless in his push.
He will be relentless in his push, but Nectar does have some heal cut online, so will be quite effective in cutting the Fiora's trades, especially in the extended ones. That Conqueror can provide so much damage, and I mean, just look at that Udyr damage. It's insane. As Nectar potentially looking for something here. He knows he does have the health advantage. Once again, Udyr showing why he's been such a contested pick in this top lane.
Ooh.
As he's found River. Yeah,
River's popped the ultimate right now, and he's going to be really careful because he can't actually dash back in to tap those vitals. He cannot get the life that he so desperately needs. And I was curious, you mentioned it could be a bit of a counter matchup, but right now, I tell you what, Nectar is saying, don't disrespect me with this pick, it's not Tokyo.
Yeah, Nectar absolutely having a good time up there in that top lane. You can see that nullifying orb getting so much value as the Direwolves have started this dragon on the bot side of the map, but I don't think they want to let it go for free. Asta's in.
He steals it. Asta's picked it up. Lisa cannot guarantee it with the smite. As the fight continues, and Asta's already picked up one. Duck the focus right now, kiting as the Ashe, dodging out vision, sidestepping the Scatter of the Week as Emphis drops down next. Gudo picks up another, and you cannot get the dragon. You can't even get the team fight after.
It's a disaster for the Direwolves. Not only do they lose the dragon to Asta of all people on this Lissandra support, but the fight after is a catastrophe. You can see the frozen thrall from that support Lissandra doing so much work to slow the Direwolves that it allows the rest of them to catch back up. And let's see this initial steal here, because Lisa, I'm not sure if he has the smite available. Let's take another look. He smites it 630 HP. Too early, it seems like there. Goes down as well, and that gives the frozen thrall. So whilst all the members of Direwolves are committing onto Duck here, you know when Darjong is able to freely hit, and in a situation where summoners are all over the ground, that Zoe's going to be all too happy.
Certainly is the case. Makes it very, very easy then for the rest of the team to flourish as a result. You get that one reset, Lissandra clones putting in work, and the rest of the team waste no time to pounce upon them and certainly seek blood in the water. We already talked about how rough this jungle matchup could be. Well, to put Gudo ahead this early and to be, what, 2-0-3, only 8 minutes in, pretty good. He's already got 4 marks, and I feel like we're watching a repeat of what Why Not did on Kindred yesterday, where you just get this far ahead this early on, you can just take over the game single-handedly.
Yeah, and this is one of the good things about playing with an Udyr at top, right, is you can almost guarantee prio at every single stage, so Gudo is going to be able to pick up the red buff as well as the Krugs here, as Lisa will luckily trade that on the opposite side of the map. And now, once those level 6s tick over for the Mammoth bot lane, it becomes an incredibly hard prospect to actually dive them, because there's just so much CC to come out. You misstep a single foot, and you will fall down to the barrage of crowd control they have available. He will be spotted out here and forced to back off from the red buff.
Well, that is the concern, right? If a dive were to happen, it very much is the case of there's the Enchanted Crystallera, there's the Frozen Tomb, there is infinite lockdown, and especially if Katsuri has to burn that cleanse early on in the lane, even before that combo comes on through, there's no dodging that. There is no escape from that situation, so much so that even Lisa now realizes that life is just not that pretty so far. He's down to 30%, gets charmed as he dashes across. Gudo is on the hunt, looking for another kill. As the arrow comes all the way from bot lane, and Katsuri gets aggressive in their own 1v1, but it doesn't matter because Darjong's already done the damage. He's picked up a double. Katsuri's out of range, flashing into tower aggro, and pops the ult even for good measure to preserve his HP.
Katsuri will pick up a kill there, but the fight in the river is all in favor of Mammoth, layering that crowd control initially onto Lisa, who they find out with a nice Zoe bubble, but then it's this Lissandra who really has been such a value maker in these skirmishes, locking down targets, providing time for this Kindred to hit, and Mammoth continue expanding this lead.
Right back with this replay once again. It all starts initially with Lisa saying, I'm actually caught out of position.
Yeah, he's caught out really far. You can see, unfortunately, Asta's E doesn't get him over the wall, which he would love to be able to take down Lisa, but it's fine because on the back end, they know that there's no flashes from that earlier skirmish. Asta just flashes forward, locks him down, and a simple double kill for Darjong.
And quite honestly, this play here in the bot lane, it looks like Katsuri's the one playing the Ashe. He just runs them down, complete lockdown there. And even if the ultimate wasn't necessary, it certainly looked nice after the fact. And so much so now that actually very much early on, 10 minutes in, double Kraken Slayer picked up here. Both Katsuri and Gudo have had a huge injection of power.
Fortunately for Direwolves, you know, they do have that Xayah who is ahead because 3k the difference across the map here as Darjong has the exhaust. He's casting on his Empress now, no flash.
Deep in trouble, Bubble. Gudo is here, looking for the kill underneath the tower. No way, he survives. Oh, he ticks at the end to red buff of all things. That really is crazy.
And this Kindred is quickly becoming a problem here. You can see
Six
he already
stacks.
has 6 marks as top lane.
No way, and River falls down too. The experiment is starting to go sideways here, Max, and the Jarvan, he's not getting bailed out anytime soon.
Oh, Gudo got it as well. That's his 7th mark, so able to get that upgrade as well with that one coming through. It's a disaster all around the map, Skimmy. Not even the top lane counter pick is working out. River falling down victim in a 1v1 versus Nectar on this Udyr. So really, this Katsuri on this Xayah is your last point of strength, your last remaining hope, really. What is otherwise a disastrous situation for the Direwolves.
It was crazy that we can run it back between 2 different series and just still have the sort of same script in terms of it's Xayah versus the world. That is pretty crazy, but honestly, it seems, even at this very early stage, a 6-0 mid-jungle with a Kindred this far ahead. I mean, I hate to say it when you're commentating, but it does feel like their game to lose now.
Absolutely does. You can see that the difference, even between junglers, is just immense. 2 levels of full item Gudo has completed now. Plus, like we mentioned, those 7 marks. All the attention from Direwolves that they need to put towards preventing him from getting these further marks, you can see, is really a factor as top lane is skirmishing once again. Nectar's getting the better of him in this trade, though.
He is. He just stands and delivers in Phoenix form and says, what are you doing? And here I am thinking that Udyr should have a rough one of it, maybe even tech into the bear form to try and get a bit more reprieve. He does not care. He ticks over to level 11. And even top lane cannot contest.
Top lane can't contest. You're losing the second dragon. You know, I had a lot of faith in Direwolves coming in because of their players, because of what their potential is on paper, but right now, they're just being deconstructed by these Mammoth players. Where will they attack? You can see that the longer Lisa waits, the further this CS gap in the jungle widens. Ping's already coming out from Gudo onto the enemy red buff. Not even allowed to farm his own jungle. Skimmy Nectar will take care of the grubs.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, oh, look, I'll act as the jungler. I'm smashing top lane that hard. I'll take that for you. You can greed and go elsewhere. And look at Aster here, patiently looking to see what he can find. Oh my god, the arrow. Barely misses mid, barely misses Lisa too as he dashes across the wall.
Yeah, with the arrow down, Direwolves might feel a bit more confident going for this dive on the bot lane. They do have a bit of a wave. With the Frozen Tomb available, it seems like they're a little bit cautious. They don't want to go for this. So once again, Skimmy, it's just the Direwolves sitting and watching while Mammoth make plays on the other side of the map.
They're honestly not concerned. They know that Jarvan is there, but they don't really care. They said, we've got every summon up and available. We have the CC. Sure, there's no Ashe ult, but it doesn't really matter because even if you have a 3v2...
Not again.
You don't need to do too much. The riposte comes out. The stun is there. He dashes and he gets stunned himself into his fourth death. Oh, no.
It's a complete disaster here from River. This is not how you want this Fiora matchup to be going. You know, Udyr is a very strong champion early, and yes, you outscale him, but if he has this many kills, the issue of scaling becomes very far away, a very long-sighted dream here. So now, where do you turn if you are the Direwolves? It has to be towards Katsuri, but even he can only accomplish so much on this Xayah.
But at what point do you just tell River, you've got to relax? I mean, at this point now, you're fighting with components. There is that variety bucket build. Just get a full item. Anything at this stage. Get that Revenant's Hydra, get some sustain, get some push. Because you're going into this beefcake of an Udyr that denies you healing, denies you movement with the Iceborne Gauntlet complete. And now you have a 9-0 topside.
Yeah, it's pretty monstrous the lead here. As Gudo, you can see, finishing the blue buff. This Kindred is so far ahead, and not only do you have to kill him, you have to get through the Lamb's Respite as well. As Aster's up here, they've found River. Arrow lands.
It certainly does. Riposte will tell us in the meantime, and the Blade of the Rune King slows him on down, but he's going to get stunned up. Riposte for the meantime, it's not going to delay death. And he said, well, if you can't win the 1v1, you certainly can't win it when the gank comes across as well. Dajang's stuck. He's already burnt that flash, and the portal will not get you at the safety. And it's that man again in Katsuri, the beacon of light, the hope for Direwolf fans out there is behind 5k gold.
That's big. That is absolutely who you want that kill going over to. But Mammoth don't seem content with letting Direwolves walk out of this one. Next time will give them a little bit of harass. But honestly, River going down to the top lane, yes, it sucks for him to die again, but he gets a fair bit out of it, right? He gets the Lissandra flash, he gets the Ashe cleanse, and importantly, the big thing there is the trade that's happening in the mid lane. You get the Zoe flash, and you also get the shutdown gold on towards this Xayah, who, like you said, really is the last beacon of hope for this squad.
But they had to really, really conjure up a miracle here so early on, the Direwolves, because they're so far behind. 6 Void Grubs taken away from them, 2 Dragons picked up here by Mammoth, and it is Katsuri against the world. Look at that total gold graph. He has the most in the game, Max. He has the most in the game, and the next place would be his mid laner, which is just barely above the enemy support.
Yeah, he really is by himself there. And the question is, what can he get done in these team fights? Because it's not an easy fight for him to play by any means. Not only does he have to avoid all the poke that's going to be coming from Zoe, all the threat that Anuti brings, but it's the damage of Kindred. It's the damage of this Gudo, who has scaled so well into this game already in a very strong position. As River looking for something cheeky here. There is no flash on Dajang, but it's a very weak Fiora at this stage in the game. He's looking.
He certainly is looking. He's going to take a gamble here. Nice sidestep there on the Sleepy Trouble bubble. Going for the grand challenge. Pops the propose, dashing around, hunting for those vitals, and then Lisa comes in to steal it. Oh, that feels a little bit rough there for River after all that hard work. Nectar rocks up and says, why did I leave my top lane here? I'll get it all done. And these two, they really do run this map.
They absolutely run this map. River will live for a little bit longer there, but ultimately the outcome is still the same. A double kill going over to Gudo. Meanwhile, the Direwolves pressuring this turret here. You can see that River, he really wants to make something happen on this Fiora. He's maintaining the aggression despite being 0-6. Finding the initial kill, but ultimately not winning the trade. And as a response, Gudo will summon up this Herald and pilot it straight into that mid lane turret. Straight
into the mid lane, and that tower is gone. 50 billion Voidlings spawning. That'll keep Direwolves occupied for the meantime as Mammoth turn their attention down south towards that 3rd dragon. This one surely uncontested. They're up by so much gold. But they put themselves at a very early soul point.
I do want to just mention that that's going to be Gudo's 12th mark. As we take a look at this replay here, you can see that River finds Dajang, and Zoe without flash is incredibly vulnerable, especially in these longer lanes. Parry landing means that there's enough of a slow to buy time for Lisa to get there, but the second Nectar rocks up with Gudo behind him. It is just over. I mean, this Kindred, it's kind of beyond ridiculous how fit he is at this point in the game. No one can withstand his damage. And Gudo, as we see, coming out of the replay, picks up the 3rd dragon, picks up his 12th mark. This Kindred is just on a whole nother level. As the TP's in the top lane.
He sees 3 members, and he's on for another mark because he's hunting for the Syndra. Emphas comes in, but there's Dajang on the top side as well. They pounce upon Gudo, but Lisa goes, actually, I really regret this decision. I've gone for lethal tempo, Sundered Sky. I wanted a snowball, but it never worked out in that fashion. And Katsuri very lucky that Gudo didn't dash across earlier.
He might still look for Emphas here, though. That is his mark target. Instead, flashes to Katsuri.
So he does. Blade Caller comes across. There is the Feather Storm now, and the Blast Cone disengage away, but a good Lamb's Respite as both weren't taking any chances using their invulnerability. Fantastic disengage from Asta. The Ashe ult from mid, not going to connect. And do you believe it, River, in an isolated rundown, this is what Fiora can do. Gets 2 shutdowns.
I mean, Skimmy, this is just a complete solo queue game here. River finds those 2 picks, looking for Dajang as well, whose flash is just about to come back up.
Yeah, it's a Zoe now with a Profane Hydra. One combo that you've probably not seen too common before, and he's going to jump out of the portal, pop back again, make him sleepy, and say, it's too easy.
You have to parry that. Come on, River. You even get a timer for it, but he won't manage to dodge the Zoe E there, and that is the crucial factor. He ends up going down in that 1v1, but ultimately picks up a lot of gold before that, right? Grabs the shutdown onto Gudo, as well as picking up Asta on the back end. So nice position. Well, as best of a position, I guess, as you can be as this 2-7 Fiora.
Yeah, certainly the case, right? Fiora loves to run members down in isolated fashion, much like a Kha'Zix, but 2-7 doesn't seem the most threatening, but certainly still has that percentile shred. and can be a menace, even if you do think they are fairly weak in the grand scheme of things. Well, I suppose now for Mammoth, they realise that, look, this game is far from complete. We are very far ahead, but it's no means a 10k lead and insurmountable checkmate position for us to play from. 2.5 minutes so we can get the Infernal Soul and give us that incredible damage boost that we need to really make sure there's no chance for Direwolves to try and escape out of the hole they found themselves in. But for the meantime, it's all a case of let's just find more structures, more map pressure, more ability for Gudo to find marks.
It is all about the marks now for Gudo, right? He does have that 12th one coming through, which means everything that's going to spawn as Hold That Thought mid lane.
Really good flash there from Dux. He's cutting like an absolute beast right now. Looks at Lisa. He gets hit by the Cataclysm and dies mid-air as he burns the shield on Emphis. And Barry not going to afford too much protection just yet. And put to sleep his Emphis as well as Darjun pops across the wall and forces them back to their base.
Forcing him back to base here, you could see Katsuri wanting to get a little bit aggressive with the gold lead that he had accrued. Won't be successful in finding anything there, and meanwhile, Mammoth will use the response window to take these two turrets. It's a big swing as Nectar's time to remind River who the better top laner is.
Yeah, he says, who's the boss? It's Valentine's Day and you are my date and we're taking you down for pain again. Dark rocks up, hits him with a volley and says, that's my job complete. I am not interested in a Fiora whatsoever. Blue Trinket goes out. Nectar
He's going over.
is really making sure this guy cannot run away. And Darshing says, Pocket Ignite, hit him with an attack, and send him to sleep again.
Yeah, River, he got the turret, so ultimately that is a gold positive trade and will waste a little bit of time from the Mammoth solo laners. However, nothing too consequential here. The big things are still this soul that's spawning in a minute, right? You know that Direwolves are very far behind at this point, but you have to imagine that they will be making a last stand. If this Infernal Soul goes over so early, it's going to be a spiral from there with the Baron available as well. So the Direwolves posturing in towards this bot side jungle. They've got some decent ward coverage, especially in the river, and it's going to come down to how they can play around Katsuri. No flash, no cleanse on this AD carry. The ult will be the only defensive tool available, so certainly a bit of a precarious situation for this AD carry as 20 seconds until Dragon Spawn.
And he's just got so many damage threats to try and juggle with, right? If it's not the Zoe one-shotting him from a million miles away off screen, it's the Udyr running him down or the Kindred in his face, taking that 1v1 gamble. As they were so patient in that bush, waiting to see anybody reveal themselves. Ultimately, it gets revealed and gets told, you're not strong enough to try and threaten us with that kind of play. There is that dragon, though, the Infernal Soul that Mammoth have worked their way towards. And if they can pick this one up at, what, 23 minutes in? I mean, this is such a strong advantage.
It's huge, and you can see that the Direwolves don't want a piece of it. They're completely giving this objective away. River, the only one really on this side of the map to contest. But now, like you said, the Baron is going to be the next thing within the sights of Mammoth. Because of how fed this Kindred is, it really does become a realistic prospect despite how early it is in the game. So look at them to set up vision control. And with a Zoe skimmy with Infernal Soul, checking this Baron becomes a nightmare for whoever has to face check it.
I mean, it's a disaster, and rightly so, right? He's picked up the Magi's, 5 stacks in that Dark Seal, ready to upgrade and utilize the good effect. He knows the game state. He knows that he can certainly flourish even further. The question for me, though, for River, right, is he's opted for the Death Stance instead of the Hullbreaker. Clearly saying, I don't ever want to group up with my team because I'm too weak in that regard. And whilst I don't win the 1v1, I'll have a crack at it again. As he runs in, Nectar says, let me remind you who the King of Oaths is. And tells him to certainly respect the neck.
Yeah, Death Stance is a very weird pickup, right? Because not only are you missing out on all the damage from Trinity Forces, Astra's been caught.
It's been called. Same for Nectar getting the kill and eventually in that bot lane as we juggle the aggro from the Baron Pit back down to the bot lane. I'm curious how Nectar wants to play this now because he does have that TP, so we can certainly threaten the inhibitor, force members of Direwolves back, and then Mammoth, as easy as you like it, guarantee the Baron.
Yeah, he can just keep going here. There's no one actually stopping him. Bases will be channeled now to try to respond, but it looks like he will back off. It looks like he will take the Gromp as his prize, but to go back to what I was saying earlier, the Death Stance feels incredibly weird because you're not getting the damage from a Trinity Force, and it also is completely ineffective against an Udyr who is doing that AP damage. So yes, you delay a bit of it, but ultimately you're still taking the same amount of damage as if you didn't have the item. So definitely a weird itemization coming out of River as Gudo. With all that attack range, he can just dance around 3 members of Direwolves on the mid lane.
You certainly can. It's a little bit ridiculous, right? The classic meme of getting caught in the mid wave is certainly not going to be an issue in this game for him. As he can certainly taunt their attention to say, all of you come attack me at once. At the end of the day, these lanes belong to us. All that vision control that Direwolves have around this Baron pit is all going to be for nothing in a second, as Mem will say, we're grouped up as 5, we'll clear that one up. And we'll bait you in for another fight so our carries can snowball even further ahead. Jack's show now picked up by Nectar. An absolute titan. 3 items complete. Nobody can really try and get through him, apart from Katsuri, who's the only other person that matches him with those 3 completed items.
Katsuri, 300 CS right now with 3 completed items, like you just mentioned. And to add insult to injury, Nectar just steals the red buff for his whole team there, as this level 16 Udyr is seemingly unstoppable. River almost gets hit by a blind bubble. He will get revealed there. I'm not sure if Mammoth saw him. Arrow's on.
He is on. We're looking for it.
And that's all.
Yep. That's all it's going to be today. If it's not the arrow, it's the skill shots on the Zoe. It's the bubble. It's the stolen skills with the flash picked up here. But the Baron in complete darkness will begin. And the question is, for Direwolves, who face checks this? Because they're so squishy.
River might be trying something here. He does have a flank position, but this burns so quickly. The Mammoth roster will just pick it up. Here goes River.
The Baron's gone. In goes River, and down he goes in the same motion. 5-0 now is this Udyr. Unstoppable from the very get-go. You just can't beat him at this point. It's unreal. And, well, yeah, 26 minutes in now. It's felt like this for the majority of this game, but a 10k gold lead has finally been accrued.
And Mammoth have the perfect comp to be able to siege with the Zoe plus an Ashe to threaten with any poke as they try to find Nectar. I wonder if they can kill him. Katsuri is hitting him.
It's Katsuri, there's a chance, but look how tanky he is in a 1v3 situation. He pushed us forward, he takes them all on, he doesn't care. Out goes the Featherstorm, the shield is not enough, but it was all a bait. It was all an aggro attempt, because they have the Void Grubs, they have the Nexus, and they have the GG condition.
Direwolves absolutely rinsed off the map in their first appearance.